The key to solving absolute value equations is to remember that absolute value means distance. So what we're really asking for, what we're really looking for, is where is the distance on the number line. So, with that in mind, if we start with a simple example, the absolute value of x equals 3. What we're asking for here in words is where on the number line is the distance 3 spots from 0. So it may help you to draw a number line and to think that you can move to the left 3 spots and you can move to the right 3 spots. So there are 2 places that will make this equation true. At positive 3, the absolute value of positive 3 is 3. At negative 3, the absolute value of negative 3 is also 3. So the answer to an equation like this one is 2 answers actually. And we can write x equals 3, comma negative 3, or we can put our answers in curly brackets separated by a comma. So this tells us that our set of answers is negative 3 and 3. Notice that we're using curly brackets here, not parentheses or brackets. Parentheses and brackets indicate an interval, like an entire range of answers, whereas curly brackets tell us specific numbers that are the answers. So these 2 numbers, not a bunch of numbers in between. So let's try one that's a little bit more difficult. Again, it's important to think about this equation in terms of words. This is asking us, where is the distance 8? So we know there's going to be 2 answers that are going to work here. So what we do is we set the equation equal to positive 8 and we set the equation equal to negative 8 because those are the 2 places that are 8 spots away from 0 on the number line. It doesn't matter what the expression is inside here. We're going to solve for something that's going to give us an 8 or a negative 8 inside. So starting on the left-hand side, add 2 to both sides. 3x equals negative 6. Divide by 3. And we find that x is negative 2. If we plug this back into our original equation, we have 3 times negative 2, which is negative 6, minus 2 is negative 8. The absolute value of negative 8 is 8. So this answer works. Now we're going to do the other side. Add 2. Divide by 3. And we get x equals 10/3. Again, if we plug this in, 3 times 10/3, the 3's cancel out, leaving us with 10 minus 2, which is 8. The absolute value of 8 is 8. So we get 2 answers here, and in curly brackets we write them. Negative 2, comma, 10/3. Now you also might notice that I tend to write the smaller number on the left-hand side, bigger number on the right. That's pretty common notation, but it doesn't matter as much as it does in an interval. So if you write it the other way around, 10/3, comma, negative 2, still tells the reader that you have 2 answers that are going to work in this equation. So let's try some more. Now again, it's important for us to read this equation in words. This says, where is the distance from 0, negative 10? This is a trick problem. Distance can never be negative. So as soon as you read this, where is the distance, negative 10? There's absolutely nothing that we can put in for x here when we take the absolute value that's going to cause it to come out as a negative. So this one is going to have an answer of no solution, or a null set. So I think you're probably getting the idea here. Basically, if you think in words, absolute value is distance. Distance is positive. So when we read the problem, before we start solving it, we need to figure out, is it possible? So whenever the distance equals some positive number, then it's going to work, and we're going to have two answers. On the other hand, when it says the distance equals a negative number, our automatic answer is no solution. You don't have to go any further. So there's one other thing that might happen on occasion. We might end up with something where it asks us, where is the distance from 0, 0? There's only going to be one answer that works here because 0 doesn't have a sign. So basically, we just go ahead and solve this. Subtract 5 from both sides. Divide by 5. X equals -1. If we go ahead and check it, plug it back in, 5 times -1 is -5. -5 plus 5 is 0. The absolute value of 0 is 0. So we only have one answer. Whoops. One answer in our curly brackets, and that's -1. So, I'm going to give you a summary now. First, remember the definition for absolute value is distance from 0. And remember, distance is always positive. So that's our key. There's 3 things that can happen with these equations. Number 1, when the distance is negative, there's no solution. Null set. When the distance is 0, there's one answer. And you just solve the equation. The third thing that could happen when the distance is positive, there are 2 answers. We solve the equation as it is, and then we solve for the negative value. So solve for the positive and for the negative. So hopefully that summarizes the idea of absolute value equations, and you're ready to get started on some problems.